Welcome to my new 2028 video, so let's begin. Diving in for Texas, Florida, and Alaska. Yet again, I do see these three states voting by around the same margin of around 10 to 12%, a bit similar to 2024, but with a small drop off from 4 years ago. And now for Iowa and Ohio, JD's from Ohio, so I think there is a shot he wins here by a safe margin. Not sure how much of a margin Iowa will go to for the Republicans, but I do believe they both go by 10 to 12%. I could easily see them as being safe. While in Florida, it could be safe as well, depending how well Vance does with Trump. Usually it's hard for a VP to win, so I'm gonna drop it and keep it right there. Plus, Shapiro is one of the best Democrats out there, so yeah. While for the 2nd district in Maine, it went to Trump by 9%. I don't see too much of a difference in 2028. I'm guessing it's going to be just either a bit to the left or a bit to the right. So I'm guessing 8 to 10% victory here for JD Vance, of course. And now for New Jersey, a state that neighbors Governor Shapiro's home state of Pennsylvania. I really do expect him to do quite well in New Jersey. I don't think he wins by a safe margin like New York, because here he easily wins New York because of the Jewish population. He gets really good turnout from them. New Jersey, he might get some of that turnout, but I think he does really good in the west side of New Jersey, but probably does meh on the right side. Still, I think he should win here by, guessing like, not by much, I think 7 to 9% victory for him, but still likely D. New Jersey, and back to Maine, as I was saying. I don't expect too much of a difference margins-wise, so that's why I think it's going to be like 6 to 8%, so Shapiro does well, but not amazing per se. While for New Mexico in the southwest, this is where Latino, like I've said before, the Latino trends throughout the country, but in states like New Mexico could really make it harder for Democrats to win. I don't think it drops down to lean D, but I think the trends are still going to go a bit more right I think Latinos are going to go to the right, even with someone as good as Shapiro for the Democrats. I don't think it's that bad that it goes to lean D, but I'm guessing it's going to be like 5 to 7% Josh Shapiro victory. He could actually do worse than Harris because of the Latino trend, but I think he holds with college graduates and probably like older voters. I don't think he does good with the young voters, by the way. Either way, he wins here. And now for Virginia, I wouldn't be surprised if Vance picks Youngkin as his VP. That could really make it easier for the Republicans to win. But Pennsylvania's not too far away, so I think it doesn't go to lean D, but I think it's likely D victory for Governor Josh Shapiro. He does quite well, I think, in some of the more suburban areas of the country and some of the areas closer to around Maryland and the DC suburbs, but I'm guessing like it's a 5 to 7% victory. It could go to the right if Youngkin is the VP nominee, but still a Democrat victory. And back to the Northeast, in New Hampshire, it barely went to Harris by 2.8%. I think policies and just the overall ideology of Josh Shapiro really fits this state. I think Shapiro is a bit more to the center compared to previous Democrats, especially in like fiscal issues, school choice, that sort of thing. I think that really helps him in a state like New Hampshire, but it's not that huge of a victory. I think he probably wins here by 5 to 7%, barely a likely D victory for him. And now I think the last likely district or state will actually be the 2nd district of Nebraska. There is a shot that Nebraska GOP gets rid of the voting system of the districts here and just makes a winner takes all, which would kind of suck, but just because it makes politics funner. But assuming that doesn't happen, I think Shapiro easily outruns Kamala Harris, and I think he wins here by 5 to 7%, but that's something to look out for, by the way. And that's it for the likely states. So as you can see, it's neck and neck, and now we can dive into the lean states. So the first one is actually Arizona. New Mexico, Latino trend is really hurting Democrats, and it's probably going to hurt him long term, except maybe midterms when there's not that many, people voting. I'm guessing Arizona. The border is not going to be that big of an issue, because that's why I don't think there's going to be that much turnout from Republicans because of that. And that's why I think, yeah, there's a less turnout by Republicans, but, it's not enough for Democrats to win the state. I think it's going to be like a 3 to 5% victory. Just a bit of a drop off from 2024. And now for Minnesota. I know some people would think Minnesota would be likely D, but I still think that Walz being picked as VP did masquerade the true margin of what Minnesota could have been in 2024 if it wasn't for Walz being Harris's pick. That's why I think the margin is probably the same as 2024, even with someone that has that appeal in the Rust Belt like Josh Shapiro, and the fact that, Vance is from the Rust Belt as well, so that's the big issue. If he was from the Sun Belt, easily likely D, but both candidates are actually from the neighboring state, which is really interesting. I'm gonna say 3 to 5% win for Josh Shapiro here easily. And now for Pennsylvania, the home state of Josh Shapiro, it shouldn't really come as a surprise that I do believe he would flip his home state. Bear in mind, he's extremely popular in Pennsylvania, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it actually votes to the left of Minnesota here. I think Vance is from Ohio, so that really helps him, but still, Shapiro would, weirdly enough, win his, it's kind of weird saying it, but he would actually win Pennsylvania by 2 to 4%, even though there's a chance he does have some skeletons in his closet, but it's not like Mark Robinson style, which is like he had a full-blown cemetery. But we will see if that actually is true or not. Probably not, but yeah, just something to keep in mind. North Carolina, pretty easy, I think. It's gonna be 2 to 4% victory, JD Vance. He might do worse than Trump. Wouldn't be surprised about that. So I think, yeah, still I don't think Democrats win here, in my opinion. Well, let's see. So now we can move on to the next states. Extremely close, by the way, 245 to 46. For the first one, I'm gonna go with Nevada. No, let's go Georgia. So Georgia, I've said this before a million times. The trends are there for the Democrats. JD Vance, I don't think he has the appeal to the Sun Belt, especially to Georgia compared to like someone like Trump, Kemp, Youngkin. That's why I think that the trends are just too much for the Democrats, especially in the Atlanta metro. And I think Josh Shapiro would win Georgia by 0.75%. Could even be lean D in my opinion, but just being a bit conservative here. So yeah, he wins here. And now for Nevada, the Latino trends, that's the main issue for Democrats, is that, yeah, the fact that Trump won here by 3%, that is a really good margin. That's way more than Pennsylvania, more than Georgia, and almost as much as North Carolina, which is really crazy to think because of the Latino trend. And I thought about that, and even though the margin 100% I think drops here, I think Vance would still win it by 0.75%. I think he does have the working class appeal, and alongside the Latino trend, college graduates do help Josh Shapiro, of course, and whites, maybe some Jewish people, of course, but that wouldn't be enough in my opinion. So yeah, now Republican victory. And now for the last two states, usually if you've seen my videos before, even in my last 2024 video, I said that these three states would vote in unison, just like they've had since 1992 now, an unbroken streak. But this is one of the few scenarios that I think that because Josh Shapiro is from Pennsylvania and JD Vance is from Ohio, they're neighboring states, this is one of the few times. I think in Michigan, JD Vance would narrowly win here. I don't think Josh Shapiro would have the turnout, the appeal to, Muslim Americans, and I think that really sinks him, unfortunately, for his campaign. While Wisconsin, I think, would be extremely narrow, the most close race in states in this election, just like 2024, and I think he narrowly wins it, but I could see anyone winning Wisconsin in this race between the two best candidates from each party. But as you can see, Vice President JD Vance narrowly wins with 277 electoral votes, while Josh Shapiro gets 261 electoral votes. Let me know what your map looks like. Feel free to leave a like. I joined the Discord and the channel membership, and as always, have a good rest of your day. Bye.